Man, what's up with y'all, man? Today we're going to be doing more of like a Westside Gunn, like that really dark Griselda, how to make the sample and the beat from scratch. Let's just get into it.
May I tell you something?
Not gonna lie, we have a lot going on in this beat. So first what I did is I kind of cheated. I got a sample of a Rhodes, but it really was just the chord. So it's just this. And really all I think it is just like some half steps playing between each other. But, a lot of this was my own melodies, but, I just like getting that to, kind of get like a really dark ambience going. And then top of that, added some chimes because, I obviously don't have that. So first, my computer cannot handle all this on top of recording, so we're going to have to go one by one. You're going to just, have to deal with it for a second. But first, what I started off with was just this little piano. You can, with these kind of dark beats, the main thing is you want to have a bunch of half steps. That's how you make this stuff evil. You see I got this G sharp, B, A sharp right next to each other. So, I got this really dark piano. Bum, 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 bum. So you can also see here. Again, A sharp and B, and this is on a little mellotron. You have to have these radio bells. I think this comes from one of my banks, but basically all I did whenever I'm making these sounds, I just get the slow vibra and the mellotron, and just always sounds fire. But then I have this Rhodes from Contact, and I think this really makes it because I think with these like Westside Gunn Griselda beats, it's like they have like this it almost sounds like a bird. Like I don't know how else to describe it. Like it's just like this really high like Rhodesy sound, and the way to get it is you just get a Rhodes and you play it really high. And again, you can see D sharp and E. Again, more half steps. Half step, half step, half step. Just sounds really dope. And then I also have this bass. One thing, I learned it from a Kavi video. With these kind of beats, you don't have to have the bass start on the one. You can have a little break before it. Just add some really cool bounce and just sounds good. So you can hear all these sounds that I did myself together. So that sounds really dope, and the message from there, bunch of half steps. But for the effects, you may think I'm doing some crazy stuff. No, like a lot of it comes from whenever I export it out into a sample and do then. But like for the piano, I am throwing on Cymatics Origin, the Origin preset in here. And all it's doing is really just adding a little bit of noise to it, but it's adding a lot of movement, which is just wow and flutter. So just make it sound more old, more vintage, some saturation. Also getting rid of some of the highs with the resample. But then what I do is I basically put it all into a new sample, and I'm going to pitch it around all over the place. So I'm pitching this up 800 cents. You can also see in the top left, it's 812. And I like going slightly imperfect off of the full note, like 800, 700, 600. Don't do that. Do like 605. 717, something a little bit off, because it'll just add a little bit more of grunge whenever it's going against a bass that you put in the beat, because it won't be perfectly in tune with that. So, usually 90% of the time that sounds terrible, but in these really dark, kind of grimy beats, you can afford to be a little bit off pitch. So what I did was I basically just sampled it, brought it over to here, put on an EQ to boost the lows a lot, and I'm also making sure to add some little chopping effects. So I really just got it in here, kept it like this. And then in the actual slicer, I made sure to bring the attack up a good bit. It's at about 20 milliseconds. It'll give it that sampled feel. That sounds great, but like I said, I then took that, consolidated it, and pitched it up 800 cents and added the EQ and some compression. Bless me. So then for the sample, what I did do, I have it on this nothing channel right now, but I did put it on the sample. With this EQ, I'm cutting out some of the mids and boosting the highs a bunch, to bring out some of the noise. Then I'm adding this Good Hertz Wow Control 3. I absolutely love this plugin. It really just saturates, adds some color, and sometimes you can have the noise like that, but I turned it off because I already have a bunch. Then this amount thing is really just adding some more wow and flutter. So it's making the sample a bit more unstable. Then I'm adding this H910 harmonizer, drum thickener one. I love using this. It just makes, the sample louder, but also just kind of thickens it up a little bit. But then one thing I'm doing is I'm making sure to come here, make the sample mono, because you're trying to replicate an old sound. And before, like, I don't know, 40s or 50s, whatever, they didn't have stereo. So you can replicate that by making everything mono. So now we have the sample done. I know these Griselda beats sound crazy, but you can see that I really only had like top of the chimes and the Rhodes that I already had in. Like, I really only have 3 or 4 sounds, and they're all doing very simple melodies. I'm just doing a bunch of half steps, even though these Griselda beats are just some of the best beats ever. They're not extremely complicated to make, and you can do them even if you haven't made them before. Before the drums, you can see I got 4 drum sounds. These Griselda beats, sometimes they don't even use a drum loop. They just kind of keep the drums already in the sample, but I wanted to make it, knock a little bit harder. So making sure just to get some drums, I think I used the Dangerous Fireworks volumes. Great drum kits, especially for these older, grimy, old school boom bap beats. But this is what the drums sound like. And the thing with these kind of beats is, you're not trying to be super bouncy. You kind of want the drums almost to like kind of feel like they're just a part of the sample. So, you can see barely anything going on the hi-hats. Make sure the velocity is changed up. Accent the ones that you feel need to be accented by bringing the velocity up. But you can see like this is really just a 2-bar loop. Like the kick is not hitting in any crazy bouncy spots. It's really just like a boom, then wait, then boom, boom. Like, that's all it is. Like, it's very simple with the drums. You don't have to get anything too crazy. But the main thing is just from the sound selection. You got a really dark, really good, grimy sound. So, those are in these drum kits. You can also see here I'm layering 2 kicks on top of each other. Just makes it a little bit more distorted, sound a little bit more full. But I wish there was more to it, but that's basically the beat, man. Making these Westside Gunn beats isn't, like I said, super complicated. You can always just also get your own samples. And, like I said, Westside Gunn, one of my favorite artists ever. And the beauty of his kind of music is that, you can hear Kitchen Lights, like probably the best song ever made. No drums in it. So, keep it really simple. Just, pick your pockets with what you want to accentuate and, be very simple. And that's it.